What are you doing with my brother alone? I ask you this not with suspicion, but with a storm of emotions I was never taught how to hide. When I saw you with him, standing so close, speaking so freely, something unfamiliar tightened in my chest. It was not jealousy born of insecurity, but fear born of attachment. Fear of losing the one person who sees beyond my title, beyond the discipline carved into my spine since birth. You must understand, in my world nothing happens by accident, and no interaction is ever meaningless. When it involves you, my mind races ahead of my heart, imagining possibilities I don't want to imagine, questions I don't want to ask. But still I stand here asking, because you matter too much for silence. You know, my brother and I share blood, but we do not share the same path. He moves with ease where I move with responsibility. He speaks without consequence where every word I speak is weighed like gold. When I saw you with him laughing in a way I rarely hear, it reminded me of everything I cannot freely give you yet. And that realization hurt more than I expected. Not because I doubt you, but because I doubt the world I've built around us. One that limits how openly I can love you, how openly I can claim you. I don't question your loyalty, I question my own restraint. I wonder if I have asked too much patience from you. If my silence has ever felt like distance, if my duties have ever made you feel unseen, if my brother offered you what I cannot yet give, freedom, simplicity, ease, then the fault would be mine, not yours. That is the truth I wrestle with in moments like this. Loving you has made me confront parts of myself no advisor ever warned me about. Vulnerability, fear, and the ache of wanting more than I am allowed to show. Still hear this clearly, because I need you to. No matter who stands beside you, no matter what conversations unfold in my absence, my heart recognizes only one place as home, and that is with you. I do not claim ownership over you, nor would I ever cage your choices. But I cannot deny that the thought of anyone else understanding you the way I do unsettles me, because what we share is not casual, not replaceable, not temporary. It is deliberate, deep, and earned through every quiet moment we survive together. So when I ask what you are doing with my brother alone, I am really asking something else entirely. I am asking if you still see me beneath the crown, if you still feel my presence even when I am forced to step back. I am asking if your heart is still with mine in this uncertain space we occupy. And whatever your answer is, know this: I am here not as a prince demanding clarity, but as a man who loves you enough to risk honesty, even when it leaves him exposed. I need you to understand that the weight in my voice comes from caring too deeply, not from mistrust. I have lived my entire life surrounded by people who smile for the position I hold, who speak kindly because it benefits them. With you, it has never been that way. You chose me without knowing where this path would lead, and that choice made me protective in ways I never expected. When I imagine even the smallest possibility of misunderstanding between us, it feels like the ground shifts beneath my feet, because you are the one certainty I have allowed myself. My brother has always been free in ways I am not. He can walk away from conversations, from expectations, from consequences. I cannot. So when I see you in his company, I am reminded of the life I could have had if fate had written my name differently. It is not resentment toward him, nor suspicion toward you. It is grief for the simplicity I cannot offer, and fear that one day that simplicity might tempt you away from the complicated world I ask you to endure with me. I have never tried to compete with him, but in that moment, I felt the instinct to protect what is mine in the only way I know how, by being honest. If my absence has ever created a space where someone else could step in, then I need to face that truth rather than hide behind pride. You deserve a man who does not disappear, behind duty when emotions grow heavy. I am learning slowly how to stay present even when the pressure around me tightens. What we have is not fragile, but it is precious. It exists in a world that does not easily make room for love without conditions. That is why I guard it so fiercely, not by control, but by commitment. I want you to feel secure enough that no moment, no conversation, no presence ever makes you question where you stand with me. If I have failed at that even once, then I will correct it, because losing you is not a lesson I am willing to learn. I want you to speak freely to me, even if your truth is uncomfortable. If that moment with my brother meant nothing, say it plainly. If it meant something different, tell me without fear. I would rather face honesty than live with imagination. I have spent my life reading between lines with you. I want the lines themselves to be clear, unguarded, real. Trust is not proven by silence. It is built by courage. Remember this above all else, my love, for you does not depend on comparison. It does not weaken in the presence of others, nor does it demand exclusivity through fear. It stands on respect. I am not asking you to justify yourself. I am asking you to meet me in truth, the same way I am meeting you now, without armor, without titles, without pride shielding my heart. And whatever you tell me, whatever clarity comes from this moment, I will remain here, choosing you with intention, not as a brother comparing himself to another, not as a prince asserting control, but as a man who values the woman he loves more than his own comfort. I am listening, not to judge, but to understand, because understanding you has always been worth the risk. There is something I have never said out loud, something I was trained to bury beneath composure. I am afraid, not of betrayal, but of being too late. Too late to give you reassurance when you needed it. Too late to stand beside you when the world felt heavy. Too late to show you that my silence was never absence. When I saw you with him, that fear surfaced without permission. It reminded me that time does not pause for princes, and love does not wait forever simply because duty asks it to. You see, my life has always been about control. Control over expression, over reaction, over desire. But loving you cracked that discipline open. In that moment, I did not think like a ruler or a strategist. I thought like a man who realized how deeply he has allowed someone into the parts of himself no one else has ever touched. That is why my voice trembled beneath the question, even if my posture did not. Because beneath everything I am supposed to be, I was just someone who didn't want to lose you to misunderstanding or distance. I know my brother did nothing wrong by simply being present. And I know you did nothing wrong by speaking to him. Yet emotions are not always logical, and mine rose because you matter more than logic ever could. I have spent years mastering restraint, but with you, restraint feels like withholding truth, and I no longer want to love you from behind walls. If I felt unsettled, you deserve to know why. Not because you owe me explanation, but because I owe you transparency. I want you to know that I am not threatened by another man's presence. I am challenged by my own limitations, the limits of time, of protocol, of a life that often forces me to choose caution over closeness. If there was even a moment when you felt more at ease with him than with me, then that is something I must confront within myself. Love should not feel like a burden you carry alone, while I stand protected by position. What I am asking for now is not reassurance born from fear, but connection born from honesty. Sit with me in this moment, not to defend yourself, but to remind me that we are still standing on the same ground. Tell me what you felt, what you thought, what you needed. Let me meet you there without judgment. I am tired of being admired from a distance. I want to be understood up close. If this moment teaches me anything, it is that I do not want to love you silently anymore. I do not want my affection to exist only in guarded glances and unsent words. I want to be present enough that questions like this never carry weight again. I want you to feel so secure in my commitment that no interaction ever shakes the foundation of us. So stay with me here in this honesty, not because I demand answers, but because I am choosing vulnerability over pride. I am choosing you over my fear of exposure. And if loving you means learning to speak when my instincts tell me to retreat, then I will keep learning again and again, because you are worth every unguarded truth I have left. I realize now that moments like this are mirrors reflecting not your actions, but my own unfinished courage. I have spent so long mastering the art of restraint that when emotion rises unannounced, it feels almost dangerous. Yet danger is not always destruction, sometimes it is transformation. Loving you is transforming me, forcing me to confront the spaces where I still hesitate, where I still hide behind composure, instead of stepping forward with certainty. That is not your burden to carry, but it is my responsibility to acknowledge. You should know that my protectiveness does not come from ownership, but from reverence. I do not see you as something to guard, but as someone to honor. When I imagine a world where you feel misunderstood or overlooked, something inside me rebels against it. I want to be the man who never makes you question your importance, who never allows doubt to grow in the quiet moments between us. If my question sounded sharp, it is because the thought of losing emotional ground with you cuts deeper than I expected. I am learning that love is not proven by silence or endurance alone. It is proven by presence, by speaking even when the words are uncomfortable, by listening even when the truth challenges pride. I want us to be the kind of connection that does not rely on assumptions or restraint, but on clarity, where questions are not weapons, but bridges, where honesty is not feared, but welcomed as a sign of trust. If there is one thing I never want, it is for you to feel as though you must navigate this world carefully around me. I do not want you shrinking your light to protect my ego or censoring your interactions to preserve my calm. I want you whole, free, and secure in the knowledge that my love is not threatened by openness. If I falter, let it be my lesson to learn, not your freedom to lose. I am standing here not asking you to reassure me endlessly, but asking myself whether I have done enough to reassure you. Whether I have made my devotion visible, not just assumed. If there has been any gap where uncertainty could grow, then I will close it, not with promises whispered in private, but with consistency that speaks louder than words. This moment, uncomfortable as it is, reminds me why I chose you. You challenge me without trying, simply by existing as yourself. You demand honesty from me without ever asking for it, and that is a rare thing in my world. Most people want certainty from me. You invite sincerity. That difference is everything. So let this be a turning point, not at a fracture. Let it mark the moment where I stopped holding back and started standing fully in what I feel. I am not walking away from this conversation guarded or suspicious. I am walking forward more aware, more committed, and more determined to be the man you deserve, not just in love, but in courage,